After I posted my video about self-massage the other day, I had about a handful of people reach out to me and asking for more tips on getting started doing squats, which really took me by surprise because I know for a fact that none of these people do squats, are even willing to do squats. So I'm glad that I was able to pique some interest, and let's talk about how to do squats and do them safely. For most people, it comes down to either concern over knee and low back problems or lower body strength. So the lower body strength you can work on, and part of that is doing squats. However, how do you do that without causing more knee and low back problems? So first of all, we're going to talk a little bit about form. Now, pretty basic stance, feet shoulder width to hip width apart, whichever's more comfortable, feet parallel to each other, so pointing straight ahead, and you want your knees to track in the same direction as your toes. When it comes to protecting the knees, what we hear most often, I think, is, well, your knees should never go past your toes. And this is probably a very unpopular thing to say, but I think that that instruction really is a bunch of crap. And I'll show you why. If I come over to the wall here, I can not quite get my toe up against the wall with this baseboard heater here, but it's pretty close. So I'm not holding on to the ledge here, and take my stance, and I'll start to squat. And I say start because I can really only get about here before my knees hit the wall, which is as far as they're supposed to go, right? So to go any lower, now my hips have to come way back. And as my hips come back, my upper body comes forward. And do you see this curve in my back here? That is not a healthy position for your back. Also, what you couldn't see was as I went down, my toes started to lift off the ground. And that's a sign that my body weight is coming too far back. I need to bring it more forward and center. I mean, it's basic physics if you think about it. So I really dislike this instruction, but I also understand that it is in place to help protect the knees. But is it really that good to protect your knees when you're compromising your low back by doing so? Look at power lifters. You know, it's not so much that the knees can't handle it. It's that you have to condition them and build up the strength surrounding the knees, surrounding the low back, to allow those areas to be supported in the movement. But how do you do that if you can't squat? So a few really easy ways that I've come across over the years. The first is, like I demonstrated, a foam roller up against the wall. Now by putting it about halfway up your back, and stepping your feet out in front of you a comfortable distance from the wall, you can do your squat, allowing your knees to come forward, and your back is taking some of the weight off of your squat, making it easier to perform the motion, as well as keep your back in alignment and your knees behind your toes. Another way that I like, if you have the upper body strength, I use a door anchor with a yoga strap looped through it, so I have two handles there. And using that to hold me more upright, again, step your feet out in front of you a little ways and do your squat that way. This way you still have most of your weight to lift, but you're still holding a better position. And holding that strap, you're helping to make your upper body stronger. Maybe not quite to the same degree, but building muscle there as well. Finally, using a firm chair. So you can either use a folding chair, a dining room chair, anything that is not going to allow you to sink into it when you get there. This is very similar to something that I've heard physical therapists give as an instruction, where it's more of a practicing of sitting in a chair and standing up from that seated position. Because really, you're resting in between, but isn't that essentially a squat? When I do just a body weight squat, it looks like this. It's a combination of my knees might be going a little further past, and I've got a little bit of a dip in my low back, but I'm still maintaining a good posture through my back, as well as keeping my chest relatively lifted. Now, this is for bodyweight squats. I don't do heavy lifting. I already have bad knees because of the arthritis. So at the very least, like, I might do a little bit of resistance band with a bar. One of the hardest things about getting started is actually getting started. And you may be thinking, well, I can't do 1 or 2 squats. Well, maybe you can do them up against a wall. It's not about how many squats you're doing. It's whether or not what you're doing is making you stronger in those areas to eventually build you up to where you can do more. So do what you can when you can, even if it's just a few of them, and stay strong and carry on.